Okay, this is while loop's introduction for ICS3U in Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to create a new project in Visual Studio Code. Well, actually, it looks like the way we have it set up right now, it's the alternate way where you have one project and then you just create new Python files as you like. So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to go to plus, so new file here, and I'm going to call it loops1.py. Loops1.py. And so while loops allow us to repeat things. Computers are really good at repeating what they do. You see robotics in a car factory that's controlled by a computer, and it will continue to do whatever it needs to do all day without any breaks. It could work 24 hours as long as it's not overheating. Kind of scary. You might have seen the Terminator movie. There are some negative movies in Hollywood that portray robotics and computers. It's really interesting, actually, when you think about that in human psychology and what's happening with how movies can sometimes influence the way we feel about technology or things in the media. Really interested in that sort of thing personally. While loops are a necessary part of computer programming, and we can get code to repeat as many times as we need it to do. You go to the checkout, automated checkout at a grocery store or a store, and that machine is there waiting to take your order, and it'll just keep waiting all day. You scan an item, it'll be ready to scan the next item right away. That's changed the job market, of course, but let's try to, I'm going to try to focus on this though. So I'm just going to get my font bigger. I'll pause and be right back. All right, so the font is a bit bigger now. So in Python, you can use the hashtag or number sign to do a comment, and a comment will not be, it'll be ignored by the computer when you run your program. I'm going to create a variable called count and set it to 0. So that creates, so count is set to 0 now, and that means that, first of all, count exists, and it also has an original value, an initial value of 0. The way a while loop works is you're going to type in the word while. So you start with while, and then when you type in the bracket, whatever's in the brackets is the condition under which the while loop will continue to operate. I'll say that again in a different way. Whatever you put in the brackets, that's going to be compared every time that the computer attempts to loop and repeat the code that's in the while loop. And if the condition is met, if whatever's in there is true, the while loop will continue to go. So I'm going to say while count is less than 100. Now you're going to put a colon at the end of this. If you haven't programmed in Python before, this is a lot all at once. It's okay if you're a little bit overwhelmed. You're going to get it, I promise. But we've got the round brackets, and that's where the condition goes. The condition, so a condition in computer science has to be, is something that is evaluated to either true or false. So count less than 100. That's going to be either true or false. If it's true, we will operate the loop. The colon signifies that whatever comes next is inside of the while loop. And if you press enter, you'll notice that your cursor automatically tabs in. Python has a rule that whatever is inside of the body of something like a while loop has to be tabbed in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say print bracket count, and then I'm going to say I'm going to run my program, and something strange is going to happen, but let's see what happens. We're going to run it. Hopefully no errors. That would be strange for me, or maybe not. It's still going. Oh, there it goes. So you can see it prints out 0, 0, 0, 0. It's still printing out zeros. The program is still running. It hasn't stopped. And that's because, well, just like the Terminator, it's been told, as long as that variable of count is 0, keep doing the loop. Don't ever stop. And it will not ever stop. It'll gladly keep going forever. I'm going to close. I don't want to close it. I want to stop the program from running. You know what? I think it's okay. I think we can just edit it and then run it again. So we're going to say, we're going to add a line here. Notice that this next line is also tabbed in. So it's inside of the while loop. I'm going to say count, set count equal to, because remember the equals is a set to, set equal to, count, set it equal to, count plus 1. So whatever it was before, plus 1, that's going to be the new value. Now the value of count is going to be changing. So when we run it, we'll see, and it takes a while on my machine to actually run it, and I might have to actually stop. Kill terminal, yeah. Okay, if you're in a loop like that where it's never ending, there's a little garbage can in Visual Studio Code, and that will kill the terminal. That means it's going to stop the process from running. It does sound very much like the Terminator, but killing a process just means that it's terminating it. Yeah, it's terminating the process. All right, honestly, I don't talk about the Terminator much. I don't know what's going on today, but when I press the play button now, run the program, just having, okay. I will be back in 1 second. So here's our program, loops 1 that we had before, and I'm gonna run it. If yours crashed, see mine crashed, it said, do you wanna close the window? I said yes, and then I just started Visual Studio again, and it seems to be Visual Studio Code. Run the program, here it goes. Never done an infinite loop in Visual Studio Code before. It's going, and then you can see, so what happens is it goes up to 99. You can see that it keeps printing the value of count. If you scroll up in your terminal, 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 99. Why doesn't it print 100? That's something that we want to answer, and I'll talk about that in class. It has something to do with the condition. It's only going to loop while count is less than 100. If you want it to be 100 and actually print 100, you can put the less than or equal to sign, and that's what it ends up being. So these two symbols together make up the less than or equal to sign. I'll have a document with all of the inequality operators. Those are inequality operators. So now when we run it, it will go up to 100, and that's loops 1. I want to do another program now that will show us how to count up by 2s. And what I'm going to do is just go over here and create a new file called loops2.py. I'm going to go through this one a bit quicker. Loops2.py. This program, here's another comment. Program, the computer will ignore it, counts up by 2s until it gets to 500. So that's what we want to achieve in this program. And let's see how we will go about doing that. Hold on, I'm just getting my, okay. So we're going to set, instead of the variable count, I'm just going to use a variable called C. I'm just making up my variable name. C stands for count. So remember I said try not to use X because it's not very descriptive as a variable name in a previous lesson. C is an exception. Whenever you see the variable C, it's a counter. C is always a counter. So it's okay to use C if it's for a counter. Now, I and J are also other counters. So while C is less than 500, put a colon. So you have to press Shift and then the key next to L. Press Enter. Now, for some reason, if you press backspace or whatever and it didn't go, you can actually just press Tab only once, though. Don't do it more than once. And then whatever's tabbed in, how many ever lines are tabbed in under the while loop, those are a part of the while loop, the body that will loop. So I'm going to print the value of C, and I'm going to do C equals C plus 2. Very similar to our last program. We're going to see that now it goes from 0 to 468. If you scroll up all the way up to 498. Again, if you wanted to do exactly 500, you could do the equals to, the equal as well, so less than or equal to. It might look nicer if you put spaces like that so you can really see the inequality. Kind of looks like an arrow with the less than and equal, but it's less than or equal. Remember, if it's the the less than pointing to the left, it's pointing to the left, then it's less than. If it's pointing to the right, then it's greater than. Okay, so that's our loops 2. Pause this program, try it out, make sure that it works for you. The other way to do it, well, this will do something different. This will not count up by 2s, but what if we multiplied it by 2 each time? See what happens. Nothing, because we started 0. Okay, so I definitely want to stop that terminal And then now I'm in a situation where I think I froze Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code doesn't seem to like infinite loops. I'll be right back. All right, so pause the program if you need to, but C equals 1. If you put a 1 up here, then you will be able to do that. Pause it and try it if you want, but just in the interest of time, I'm going to create a new program called loops3. This is our last one. And this one is going to be, so loops3.py. That's just a comment. You don't need to put that line in. It is nice to have the file name. This program starts at 1 and doubles its value until it gets beyond 1 million. Very similar to what I just showed you. We're going to have count. I'm going to start count at 1. If you started at 0 and you try to multiply 0 by 2, you still get 0. That's why I'm starting at 1. While count is less than, and I'm going to put in 1 million, 6 zeros. Print count. And we're going to say count equals count times 2. That's the same program I just showed you, isn't it? But it's not going to crash this time. So when we play it, it should be able to show you all the numbers doubling, and there's not that many of them, are there? So if you're in the engineering class, you'll recognize these doubling numbers as powers of 2. Math class, you'll recognize them as powers of 2. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, etc., all the way up to 524,000. It can't get any higher than that because that would be above 1 million. So that's it for while loops. There is an alternate solution that I'm going to quickly put here, and then you can try it. Class is about to start. I got to stop this. I'm going to put the alternate solution up on D2L or whatever learning platform we're using. And now you're ready for the exercises for while loops.